Imagine waking up every day feeling like you're running a race you never signed up for. One where the finish line keeps moving, and the people you're running against don't even know you're competing with them. Your neighbor's new car, your coworker's vacation, your friend's picture-perfect home. Somehow, all of it feels like a scoreboard reminding you that you're behind. But what if the problem isn't your life, but the lens you're seeing it through? What if the real reason your money feels tight, your life feels stressful, and your joy feels threatened is simple? You're living someone else's story instead of loving your own. Today, we dive into Rachel Cruze's transformative book, Love Your Life, Not Theirs, a guide built on 7 money habits that don't just improve your finances. They free your mind, your relationships, and your life. The book opens with Cruze's honest reflection on habits. How small, automatic choices shape our life more than we realize. She describes how even waking up early became a habit she had to build intentionally. And the same is true about money. Whether we notice it or not, money habits, good or bad, are shaping our future every single day. Cruze points out that many of us struggle not because of lack of income or intelligence, but because we've allowed habits like impulsive spending, living on autopilot, or comparing our lives to others to run the show. Most importantly, she makes a bold promise. You can create a life you love, but it will require choosing the right habits consistently. Habit 1. Quit the comparisons. Chapter 1. Comparisons are killing us. Comparisons rarely feel dangerous in a moment. They sneak in quietly, disguised as curiosity or admiration. But Rachel Cruze begins with a powerful truth. Comparing our lives to others is slowly choking our joy, our peace, and yes, our money. She illustrates this through a simple story. Rachel and her husband Winston had planned a lovely getaway to Charleston. It was meaningful, carefully budgeted, and a genuine escape from daily life. But the moment they returned home, she opened Instagram and saw a stranger, someone she didn't even know personally, on a glamorous Greek island vacation. Within seconds, the glow from her own trip dimmed. What she once considered special now felt ordinary. She even found herself searching flight prices to Greece, despite knowing full well it wasn't reasonable for their budget. That's the power of comparison. It distorts perspective instantly. From vacations to homes, from fashion bloggers' curated photos to friends' remodeled kitchens, she emphasizes how social media opens the door to endless, effortless comparison. We no longer have to see the Joneses in real life. They ride around in our pocket. And the effect is both emotional and financial. Comparison makes us spend impulsively to match someone else's lifestyle, feel inadequate even when life is objectively good, lose appreciation for what we already have. This is why Cruze describes comparison as something that doesn't just steal joy, it steals paychecks. It creates desires we never had, convinces us we're behind, and pushes us toward purchases we can't afford. She stresses that comparison isn't a harmless, momentary feeling. It becomes a habit, one that shapes how we spend, think, and live. And unless we confront it, it becomes a cycle that never ends. Chapter 2. Blessed versus #blessed. Cruze dives deeper into the cultural shift that has made comparison more potent than ever. Curated reality. The #blessed hashtag becomes her symbol of this trend. She doesn't say that everyone who uses it intends to brag, but she points out a clear pattern. The hashtag often appears when someone is showing off something shiny, a promotion, a luxury purchase, a vacation, a gift, a fancy meal, even a new car. And the problem isn't the hashtag, it's how we respond to it. We confuse visible blessings with actual blessings. We confuse highlight reels with normal life. We internalize someone else's moment as a measurement of our entire reality. From there, Cruze lays out practical steps to quit comparing. 1. Change your perspective. She reminds us that appearances can be deeply misleading. Someone with a luxury car may be drowning in debt. Someone with brand new clothes may have no savings. Someone with a gorgeous home may be worrying every night about making payments. She shares a story from high school where a girl with a luxury car and designer clothes couldn't afford a concert ticket. That was Cruze's first lesson that looking wealthy and being wealthy are not the same. 2. Cheer other people on. Instead of competing, celebrate others. Cruze explains how her workplace culture thrives because of this. Whether someone drives a Mercedes or a rusty old Nova, everyone cheers each other forward. There's no shame, no envy, just support. 3. Stop comparing yourself to your parents. Millennials and young adults often forget that their parents took decades to build the stability they now enjoy. Cruze warns against expecting a first-job income to support a lifestyle built over 30 years. 4. Redefine I deserve it. Entitlement is comparison's partner. When we feel behind, we justify spending with the phrase, I deserve it, even if we can't actually afford it. 5. Own your stuff. Don't let it own you. It's fine to enjoy nice things. The danger comes when we buy them for the wrong reasons and with the wrong money. Cruze concludes this chapter by revealing the ultimate cure for comparison: contentment, a mindset shaped by gratitude and humility. Habit 2. Steer clear of debt. Chapter 3. Debt is a dead end. Debt feels normal because the world tells us it is. Student loans, car payments, credit cards, and personal loans have all been packaged as tools for living a good life. But Cruze tears down this idea quickly. Debt isn't a tool, it's a trap. She describes debt as something that quietly restricts life one payment at a time. Every monthly bill is a slice of your freedom handed away. Debt limits opportunities, increases stress, delays goals, damages relationships, creates constant financial pressure. Cruze highlights stories of families burdened by debt, trapped in cycles where income disappears the moment it arrives. People feel stuck, unable to breathe because their obligations consume everything. More importantly, she emphasizes that debt creates an illusion of progress. It allows us to buy things before we've earned them. But behind every purchase lies a future payment, plus interest. Debt doesn't just slow you down. It stops you from moving altogether. Chapter 4. Dealing with debt. If Chapter 3 exposes the problem, Chapter 4 delivers the solution. Cruze encourages readers to face debt honestly and without shame. Avoidance only worsens the situation. The plan is clear, practical, and proven. Step 1. List every debt. Every loan, every balance, every card. Knowing the exact numbers removes anxiety. Step 2. Use the debt snowball. Prioritize the smallest debt first. Paying it off quickly creates momentum, emotional, psychological, and financial. With each success, motivation grows. Step 3. Maintain focus. Cruze insists that becoming debt-free requires emotional fire, frustration strong enough to drive change. If you're not uncomfortable with debt, you won't feel urgency to eliminate it. Step 4. Celebrate milestones. Each paid-off debt is a victory, a visible step toward freedom. This chapter is about reclaiming control, replacing fear with clarity, and understanding that debt doesn't have to be a permanent companion. Chapter 5. A Life Without Debt. Cruze paints a picture of what being debt-free truly feels like. Not just financially, but emotionally. Without payments, you breathe easier. Your income becomes your own. Your stress levels drop. Your choices expand. She stresses that debt-free living isn't about being rich. It's about being unburdened. A life without debt makes emergencies manageable, makes opportunities reachable, makes generosity possible, makes your future clearer. Cruze highlights stories of ordinary people who became debt-free and discovered a new type of joy, a calm, quiet confidence in their life choices. Debt-free living is not a luxury for the lucky. It's a realistic, attainable lifestyle for anyone disciplined enough to pursue it. Habit 3. Make a plan for your money. Chapter 6. Permission to spend. Contrary to popular belief, Cruze argues that budgeting isn't restrictive, it's liberating. This is because budgeting gives intention to spending rather than reacting. When every dollar has a purpose, guilt disappears. You aren't guessing or worrying. You're following the plan you created. Budgeting becomes permission to enjoy money, protection from overspending, a roadmap for goals. She encourages readers to break away from the belief that budgets limit freedom. In reality, Budgets create freedom. The freedom to spend confidently, save purposefully, and avoid regret. Cruze also introduces the idea that a budget isn't static. It evolves each month with life changes, events, and seasons. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness. Chapter 7. Tell your money what to do. This chapter takes the budgeting idea further by introducing the zero-based budget. Zero-based budgeting means assigning every dollar a job until nothing is left unplanned. Income minus expenses equals zero, not because you're broke, but because everything is intentionally allocated. Cruze emphasizes, budget before the month begins. Adjust for irregular expenses. Communicate with your spouse, if applicable. Review and refine monthly. She frames budgeting as leadership, leading your money rather than letting it lead you. Money without direction disappears. Money with direction multiplies. This chapter closes the first major turning point of the book. Once comparison is addressed, once debt is confronted, the next step is mastering the plan that guides everything forward. With these 7 chapters, Cruze sets the foundation for a financially and emotionally transformed life. Habit 4. Talk about money, even when it's hard. Chapter 8. Marry your money. Rachel Cruze begins this chapter by addressing one of the most emotionally charged areas of life, money within marriage. She explains that money problems are rarely about the money itself. Instead, they stem from miscommunication, secrecy, mismatched expectations, and unspoken fears. Cruze emphasizes that when 2 people get married, their lives join in every sense, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and yes, financially. The idea of my money and your money becomes a wall between 2 people who are supposed to be building a shared future. She argues strongly that separate financial lives almost always create division, tension, and confusion. She observes that many couples avoid talking about money because it feels uncomfortable or leads to conflict. But avoiding the conversation doesn't eliminate the problem. It multiplies it. The solution? Radical transparency. Cruze advocates combining accounts, combining goals, and combining values. Financial unity, in her view, isn't just a logistical decision, but a relational commitment. It means you share all income, all expenses, all debts, all dreams, all fears. When couples unite financially, it becomes easier to plan, easier to save, easier to avoid debt, and easier to support each other. Money stops being a point of tension and becomes a shared mission. She also explains that opposites often attract. A spender marries a saver. A planner marries a free spirit. This dynamic can either become a source of resentment or a force of balance. When couples understand each other's natural tendencies and communicate openly, they enhance each other's strengths and protect each other's weaknesses. Ultimately, Cruze makes one message clear. Marriage thrives when money becomes ours, not mine versus yours. Chapter 9. Important Conversations. Continuing the theme of communication, Cruze invites couples to have deeper, more intentional conversations about money. Conversations that go beyond numbers. She encourages couples to talk openly about childhood influences. How did your family handle money? What habits did you inherit? Money fears. Are you afraid of not having enough? Afraid of overspending? Afraid of failing financially? Short-term goals. Vacations, home repairs, school fees, holiday budgets. Long-term goals. Retirement, paying off the house, children's education. Spending styles. Who gravitates towards saving? Who enjoys spending? Roles. Who pays bills? Who tracks budgets? Who manages investments? Cruze highlights that money conversations shouldn't happen only in crisis. They should be regular, predictable, and calm. She recommends monthly budget meetings, a time when couples review their spending, adjust plans, talk through upcoming expenses, and check in emotionally. She also acknowledges that some couples carry financial wounds, past mistakes, hidden debts, failed budgets, or family pressure. Honesty and vulnerability, she says, are the only ways to heal and move forward. This chapter reinforces that communication is not just a habit. It's a discipline that strengthens the entire relationship. Habit 5. Save like you mean it. Chapter 10. Saving for life. Cruze now shifts focus to the fifth habit, saving with purpose and consistency. Saving isn't glamorous. It doesn't show up on social media. No one posts a picture bragging about their emergency fund. But Cruze argues that saving is one of the most powerful ways to create stability and peace. She breaks savings into 3 categories. 1. Emergency savings. Life is unpredictable. Emergencies aren't optional. They're guaranteed. Without savings, emergencies turn into debt. Cruze stresses the importance of first creating a starter emergency fund and later building it into a fully funded emergency fund of 3 to 6 months' expenses. An emergency fund isn't about financial luxury. It's about emotional security. It allows you to make calm decisions instead of panicked ones. 2. Short-term savings. These are predictable expenses: birthdays, holidays, annual insurance bills, car maintenance, school fees. Cruze notes that these don't qualify as emergencies because they're foreseeable. Planning for them removes stress and guilt. 3. Long-term savings. These include major goals like buying a home, starting a business, home improvements, or long-term travel plans. She explains that saving over long periods builds discipline, patience, and confidence. Cruze emphasizes that saving must be automatic and intentional. When you treat saving as a priority, not an afterthought, you build a foundation that supports every other financial habit. Chapter 11. The biggest savings goal of your life. In this chapter, Cruze tackles retirement, the goal most people know they should focus on, but rarely feel motivated to pursue. She begins by acknowledging the emotional barrier. Retirement feels distant. When you're juggling bills, jobs, kids, and day-to-day pressures, the idea of saving for the future feels unrealistic. But Cruze explains that time is the biggest factor in building wealth. The earlier you begin investing, the more compound growth works in your favor. She outlines the basic steps. Invest a percentage of your income consistently. Prioritize retirement before saving for children's college. Avoid risky, get-rich-quick schemes. Stick with long-term, steady investments. Cruze isn't trying to turn readers into financial experts. Instead, she wants them to grasp a simple truth. Saving for retirement is about freedom. When you invest early and regularly, you're buying your future choices, whether that means retiring early, traveling later in life, or simply living without financial fear. She emphasizes that retirement isn't a finish line. It's the result of long-term faithfulness. Habit 6. Think before you spend. Chapter 12. Spending on purpose. Now Cruze turns to one of the biggest challenges in modern life: intentional spending. In a world of one-click ordering, targeted ads, influencers, and constant temptation, spending has become emotional rather than rational. Cruze argues that most people don't overspend because they're irresponsible. They overspend because they're unconscious. Intentional spending means knowing your priorities, understanding your triggers, matching purchases with values, avoiding mindless scrolling or shopping, asking whether a purchase supports long-term goals. Cruze encourages readers to pause before buying and ask deeper questions. Does this align with the life I truly want? Or am I reacting to stress, boredom, comparison, or impulse? Intentional spending becomes a filter that guides every choice. Chapter 13. Don't spend yourself broke. This chapter examines why we overspend even when we know better. Cruze explains several psychological reasons. Insecurity, buying to feel impressive or accepted. Boredom, shopping to fill emotional gaps. Urgency, flash sales and limited-time offers. Identity, purchasing things to feel like the person we want to be. She unpacks how companies are experts at tapping into emotional buying. From strategic lighting to curated displays to influencer marketing, everything is engineered to make us desire things instantly. Cruze offers solutions. Implement a 24-hour or 48-hour waiting period before buying. Use cash envelopes to limit uncontrolled spending. Unsubscribe from promotional emails. Avoid keeping credit cards in easily accessible places. She emphasizes that overspending isn't a failure of willpower, it's a failure of awareness. Once you understand why you overspend, you can build systems to prevent it. Habit 7. Give a little until you can give a lot. Chapter 14. A lifestyle of giving. Generosity might seem like a financial decision, but Cruze argues that it's really a hard decision. Giving is transformational because it shifts focus outward instead of inward. It cultivates gratitude. It breaks the hold of comparison. It connects you with others. It creates purpose and fulfillment. Cruze believes giving should be a regular, intentional part of every budget, even if the amount is small. You don't wait to become rich to be generous. You build generosity as a habit, and over time, as your capacity grows, so does your impact. Giving isn't about checking a box. It's about shaping character, strengthening relationships, and living with open hands. Chapter 15. How to Give. In this chapter, Cruze becomes extremely practical. She encourages readers to identify causes they deeply care about, research organizations to ensure trustworthiness, set aside a dedicated percentage for giving, look for opportunities to give beyond money, time, kindness, and service. She explains that thoughtful giving ensures your resources make a real difference. It also keeps giving consistent rather than sporadic. Cruze emphasizes that intentional generosity should feel joyful, not obligatory. It's an active expression of your values. Chapter 16. What now? Cruze closes the final chapter by bringing every concept together. She reminds readers that financial transformation isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. You don't need to change everything overnight. You simply need to commit to daily habits that move you toward the life you want. She highlights that the 7 habits are interconnected. Comparison steals focus. Debt steals freedom. Lack of planning steals intention. Silence steals unity. Lack of saving steals peace. Mindless spending steals purpose. Withholding generosity steals joy. But the opposite is also true. Building these habits gives you clarity, unity, security, freedom, purpose, gratitude, joy. Cruze ends with encouragement. Financial peace isn't reserved for a select few. It's available to anyone willing to embrace the habits that align their money with their values. The journey is lifelong, but every step counts. With intention, consistency, and heart, you can build a life you truly love, on your terms and with your choices. You don't have to run someone else's race. You don't have to chase what others post. And you don't have to live stressed, overspent, or overwhelmed. With the 7 habits Rachel Cruze outlines, quitting comparisons, avoiding debt, budgeting with intention, talking openly, saving purposefully, spending wisely, and giving generously, you can build a life that feels rich from the inside out. Not the life Instagram wants for you. Not the life society pressures you to pursue. Your life, loved fully, lived freely, owned completely by you.